Namaste. Welcome, Hariharan ji and Mrs. Jyotsna Hariharan. Welcome to Cowism.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
It is such
Namaste.
an
Thank you.
honor and pleasure to have you with us today. You both come from such varied backgrounds, and yet, you have joined hands together to do something for a greater cause of environment, cow protection, and of course, organic farming. So, just to give our viewers a little background about you two, Mrs. Jyotsna has done her BTech from in horticulture from Tamil Nadu Agriculture University, and then she went on to do her dual degree from Dalhousie University in Canada. And Mr. Hariharan comes from a technical VFX animation degree background, and both of them have started, this company called Joy Greens and Pancharatna, which is basically promoting natural farming, terrace gardening, landscaping, and so on. So we are really honored to have you, and we would love to know, how you changed your course towards this sustainable and green profession, so to speak. So we could start with you, Mrs. Jyotsna.
Sure. So actually, when I was in my third year, I believe, actually, second year of college, actually, my mother is actually a doctor. She's a gynecologist by profession, but she also is a general practitioner because she works in the villages as the director of Chinmay Organization for Rural Development. And through this, we had several cases of insecticidal poisoning, which even turned to fatalities. So something that serious really got me thinking as to why this is happening, and why is it that it is so common but we still can't do anything about it. So that is what actually got me wanting to see if there is another option out there or what's happening. And that's how we got introduced to one Mr. Madras Iyer, he's called. He doesn't have a name in general. I don't know his name either. But he's called Madras Iyer, and he's from Satyamangalam, which is close to Coimbatore. And he was doing this natural farming movement then. This is about 11 years back. And he seemed to be converting a lot of farmers in that locality into natural farmers. So then we as students were obviously piqued and we were interested. So we thought maybe, we can go ahead and get trained under him. We asked the college, because obviously students' pockets are empty. So we asked the college to see if they would be willing to, fund us or, take us for the training. But somehow the college just shut us down and said, no, that is not something that we want you to pursue. So we didn't know what the politics behind that was then. Now I do, but I don't want to mention it. Then we actually took it upon ourselves, and a bunch of us, say about 15 of us, went back and forth in public bus. It was like a tour. It was enjoyable, and we learned something. Like, we learned so much more than we thought we could possibly know about the subject. We learned biodynamic composting. We learned so many different things. Cow horn manure, that's the first time I have actually seen it in live. Otherwise it is something that I have only seen in books and such like. So it was very interesting and it was very eye opening. So after that, once we finished this training, we came back and we said we will take it up in such a way that we will interact with the farmers in our circle and see if they can possibly change. But what we found as a commonality was, even then, 11 years ago, lack of labor was still the major problem for farmers. So laborers were not easily available. If they were not they were not regular, and if they were regular, then they were not good at what they were doing. So at the end of the day, not much was getting done. And then on top of doing already what they do, to do more, to have them to do more than what they already had to do was not possible. So asking them to make Panchagavya or to make Agniastra was it was redundant almost. So then we said, okay, we have to look at a different model here. It would be most probable that we should, make the substances ourselves and be able to supply it to the farmers. So that's how that portion of the journey went. After that, it took quite a curve or a turn, I should say, because as ma'am, you said, I had done my dual degree program. So I had got to travel to Canada, and I obviously everyone was doing their papers and all that. And then I said, okay, why not make Panchagavya? Because I'm not going to get another chance to, actually write a paper on this. So let's do this. The Canadians actually like hated me for 6 months because I kept stinking up their greenhouse all the time. The time period in which we were doing it was peak of December, which means it was minus 33 degrees Celsius outside. Obviously, not very happy time for thermophilic bacteria that do the fermentation inside Panchagavya. So we put the stinky liquid inside the greenhouse, and we started doing the fermentation process there. I think I made more enemies in that period of time than actual friends. And then I started spraying the liquid on petunias and ornamental peppers. So the title as such was Use of Panchagavya for Testing the Precocity of Petunias and as an insect repellent on ornamental peppers. Now, what precocity generally means is increase in the rate of flowering. That's what it means. So, petunias as a flower would prefer to have more flowers. Anyone, obviously, on a plant would prefer to have as much flowers as possible. So, that was one of the uses of Panchagavya, and the other was as a insect repellent. Now, in greenhouse conditions, most crops have a large quantity of sap-sucking insects as the problem. That's the problem they face. And the most common of the sap-sucking insects is Thrips tabasi. So it was tested on Thrips tabasi as well, and the results were as I already believed in it, but the results were as it was. And I did find that there was a 3 times difference in the amount of flowering in the petunias, and that there was a marked difference in the reduction of the thrips attack. And we did a second set of testing on the plants which are already sprayed before, and we could see that the plants had developed a certain immunity towards the thrips itself. So even when we changed the plants from one greenhouse to another, we were able to see a marked difference in how the thrips actually attack the plant. So it was almost as if there was an internal immunity increase for the plants themselves. So that was the conclusion of the paper there. Since it was a graduate paper, I really don't get to publish it or make it into an actual paper itself. But those results were really eye-opening for me, and that actually really led me to the next phase of what we now call Pancharatna.
This is such an amazing thing that you took our ancient knowledge from India and proved it at in another country where so many people were detesting you simply because of the smell, and you still kept up and proved it. And what happened? What was their reaction? Once your results came out. Um,
So their reaction was obviously they were very surprised that anything that stinky could be useful, number one. And also they were very surprised that, otherwise it's usually Indians are like the underdog in countries, especially research-based projects and such like. We are generally the underdogs. We just do something that is in the norm, whatever goes with the flow, rat race, usual stuff. We never stick out like a sore thumb. We don't do anything that keeps us apart. So this was really like a very what do you call it, very brave move truthfully speaking, the project that I did. And I mean, I couldn't multiply the product and make a sales of it, because that is a different ball game altogether. I was still a student, I was not working. So setting up a company and all that requires permanent residency and a lot of other paper based things. So I didn't get into that, but I had made up my mind that when I do return to India, which was the intention early on, my intention, like others, was not to go to any abroad country and settle there. It was always to come back. So when I would come back, I didn't know, but it was always to come back. It was never, because I had studied enough about brain drain and how everyone from India leaves India and disappears completely whatsoever. So that was definitely not on my plate. It was always to come back. And I did come back about 2.5, 3 years later after the course. So 2014 June, I came back, and that's when we said, okay, now that we have the necessary experience that it works, let us see how we can make it work in the Indian condition. And that's how Pancharatna actually started. 2014, we bought 4 drums. We put it in the backyard and we started. We got the cow dung and the cow urine and all the rest of it, and we started. Initially, as a part of the recipe, we used to use yeast. So it is not, it is given in some of the recipes online that yeast can be used. So about 100 grams of yeast is used for 60 liters of Panchgavya to be made, about 60 liters. So the yeast actually was very obviously giving it volume, but it did not help with the bottling process, because that really killed the bottling process. The bottles would burst within 3 or 4 days of having bottled. So that didn't work. So it's a lot of R&D went into the whole process. And then I think later on we said, you know what, no yeast, chuck the yeast, go to more, let's go further natural, let's go more basic. What can we do? And then actually once we came to Bangalore and actually brought over Pancharatna, only then we truly said, okay, yeast is not going to work, what shall we do? And the brain from Hariharan told, we'll just use tender coconut as the fermentation liquid. So instead of yeast, we'll chuck the yeast and we'll use tender coconut, because that also ferments. That also becomes a fermented liquid in 3 days. So we get it ahead in time and we ferment it and we add it to the mixture. So it helps with the fermentation process. And the bottles don't burst.
Excellent. So thank you for the reverse brain drain and doing all the R&D right here in India. So that's amazing. So are you by any chance following the traditional Tamil Nadu Agriculture University method, the one that is given on their website to make Panchagavya, or have you modified it slightly to?
I'm not using that formula. I have modified it because that formula somehow I feel does not give sufficient potential for the liquid. Like there are tests of Panchagavya which have been done, which show the how much of each bacteria or coliform should be present in Panchagavya, at least the average range of it. The Tamil Nadu Agriculture University's recommended preparation does not bring that value to the level that is actually required for plants or the soil or such like. So we have changed that a little bit. Obviously, I'm not going to let go of the preparations quantities, but yeah, we have changed the quantities a bit, because at the end of the day, if whatever I am giving to the soil is of no use, then the whole process is of no use. Then me taking my time, Hari taking his time, and the cows doing their work is of absolutely no use if what I'm adding to the soil is of no use. So might as well do what has to be done for it to give the best results. So what is now recommended is a 3% solution of Panchagavya is the recommended dosage. 3%. So 3% is 30 ml of Panchagavya in 1 liter of water, or 1 liter of Panchagavya in 30 liters of water. That is the calculation.
Great. So I would like to hear from Hariharanji, coming from an animation background. What interested you? Was it Jyotsna ji's motivation, or were you also inclined to have a green thumb and do all this for nature? Over to you.
Okay. Uh, Before this animation part, I just wanted to give a small brief about where my schooling was done, because I was abroad for 15 years. I was not at all in India from 1997 to 2012. I was abroad, and ever since my childhood, I'd always wanted to be in India, be that, the boy who wants to enjoy whatever he has got. I never had a chance to play. I've never had friends. I never used to. I was a loner during my school days or my childhood days. After coming back to India, I said, okay, let me wag my tail a little bit out, trying all sort of stuff that I like to do. But animation was my passion ever since my childhood. Animation and designing, I that's my evergreen. That was my passion since my childhood. After getting married to Jyotsna, I realized that where I am right now, I didn't find myself there. So it was like, what do you do next? My background, my career background, I was more into sales and marketing. I was the person where you tell me to meet anyone and talk to anyone about anything, and I would do it without any, hassle. So that was my backbone, and that strength of mine was a big support to Jyotsna, Joy Greens, and Pancharatna. So Jyotsna is my teacher when it comes to landscaping, plants. It used to be, like she used to scold me with all those science names of trees, plants, and such like. That's how I started learning the plant names, tree names, and so on. And realization that yes, I wanted to do something that is green, that is I love doing, make my hand soil, dust, and such like. And that is where I got into Pancharatna and Joy Greens.
Amazing. So you both complement each other, one into sales and marketing, the other into R&D, and the passion is common
Yes.
for, nature. That's amazing. So, you have been working in the in the urban setup, I believe, right? So what do you find is different, the trends in the rural areas versus how, people, because I also hear, that re-ruralization is also a phenomenon now. A lot of educated people want to go back to villages, while on the other hand, a lot of people from rural areas want to come. That's urbanization, what we know. So what do you feel about this phenomena, where we're going right, what are we doing wrong, etc.?
So my point of view, some days I realize that when I'm driving back from my workplace, I realize that I was abroad, then I came back to India. I lived in Bangalore, and I've come to Hosur. So I've come down step by step. But one thing that I have realized is I'm getting closer to Mother Nature. I'm A lot of my friends where they say, "Oh my God, Hari, you are doing this. I wish even I could do this." But what I am doing is I am fulfilling their dreams. I'm fulfilling their passion, which is it's a common thing for all of us right now. And a lot of my friends who are into this IT companies, they say that I too want to get into farming, but how and when? But lucky I am that I am in this field thanks to Jyotsna again. So it is it is I would say that the reality is you have to get back to your mother nature. You have to get back to your soil. A friend of mine had stated on his WhatsApp status, "Dirty hands are symbol of clean money. Only when you make your hands dirty, you get clean money from there." So, yeah.
Beautiful. And another quote I read very recently, probably Jyotsna can corroborate, that, if you look at all the problems in the soil today, lack of nutrients reaching the plants is because of lack of biology in the soil. So we have
Yes.
somehow missed, all the microorganisms. We have hurt them, we have harmed them, practically killed them, using, like you said, insecticides and weedicides. The effect is coming on us, health wise and environment wise as well. So yes,
It's
amazing.
it's
Yeah.
not so much just the use of insecticides, it is the uncontrolled use of insecticides or pesticides. Okay, it's see, if I am to pop two paracetamols for my body weight, I need two paracetamols to have a fever go away. Okay, but for Hari's body weight, he needs only one paracetamol. So he takes one paracetamol and his fever goes away. I take two paracetamols and my fever goes away. What if I am to take six paracetamols? Is it going to make my fever go away faster? No, it is still going to take the 1.5 days that it is going to take. So why put too much pesticides or too much insecticides? The minute you walk into any insecticide store or you walk into any pesticide store, the first thing that they tell you is you take this, you take this, and you take one more liquid. All three you put 3 ml into your drum and you spray. This is for a different purpose, this is for a different purpose, and the third one is for another purpose. You are mixing all three and then spraying it on the insect. The insect is now saying, okay, now what? Do I die, or do I become 3 times bigger and eat more? So in general, nature just says, okay, you know what, if it's not going to work on me, I'm going to eat more. There is a dosage, use that. If I give you Panchgavya and I tell you you should use only 3% solution, and you go spray 6% solution, I am telling you your crops will die in exactly 2 days, because concentration is too much. It will show up. Definitely it shows up. The same happens for insecticides, but it is a slower process. It doesn't show up that quickly. So we believe it's okay. Let us spray. What is there? What is the big fat deal? Let us go and put three, four chemicals together and spray it. When you eat four different, five different foods together and it goes into your stomach and some chemical reaction happens and it gets dissipated as food, it is not a big deal. But when five different chemicals of very large chemical size mixed together, maybe it doesn't mix, or it mixes and becomes something indestructible, it all gets settled in the soil and it kills all the microbial load completely. And what little earthworms we used to have, now I think the next generation will not know how to spell earthworm. That will be the status. Even children, when you put earthworm in their hand, they struggle. Ayo, earthworm. It is dirty and difficult for them to manage. No, earthworm is so beautiful. We have played with earthworms. It goes to you, and we also, it goes all over the hand. We play with it. Even our age, mine and Hari's age, people also are not willing to, touch dirt or soil. They touch dirt and they immediately do that. So I think that is the thing that people need to get back to more than
In
being
fact, I
introduced to.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, I remember my mother, once we were out somewhere in the rural area or somewhere where we didn't have soap to wash our hands. My mom said, in earlier days, people used to use
Mud.
soil
Mm.
for washing hands. So
Mm.
you can imagine that was the good soil that we were actually using to protect ourselves, what we are now calling as dirt.
Mm.
So, yeah. And like you said, definitely we are hearing about super bugs and super pests and all of these problems because of all the things that you said. They're eating more and they're becoming resistant to all that we are spraying. I mean, we cannot defeat nature, it is impossible. And might as well surrender and kind of protect it, and she will automatically protect us. So that is the Vedic philosophy of the Indian culture, and the sooner we get back to it, the better. Right. I wanted to know about the concept of cows. How did Hariji you got connected, and you have so much love for cows, which you express. I've seen, your pictures, and you have names for them and so on. So, how did that connection happen, and what is your experience been around cows?
Cow as such for me, before even when we started, I would say before 2020 itself, when we shifted Pancharatna from Coimbatore to Bangalore, for me cow is a cow. It was same like how it was back in 2016. A plant is a plant. I didn't know the name of any plant. But then later on, when I got my first cow, I would call her always, she is my first daughter. Her name is Kaveri. I've named her Kaveri. We bought her on 1st of November. And I realized that after cow came into my life, a lot of things changed. My personal health. I'm an acute wheezing and asthma patient, and every single minute I open my window or I'm in outside in a grassland, I used to sneeze continuously, and that sneeze would not stop at least for around 45 minutes to 1 hour, and I used to suffer so much. And I'm the only person who's driving the car when I come back from work. So
And
uh,
if every
yeah,
person who used to have him in Joy Greens, every client and every person, even the laborers, used to tell him, "Sir, you have taken the wrong field.
yeah.
You have chosen the wrong field." That was the first statement that they used to give always.
So now coming back, like after I got introduced to cows and mainly Kaveri, and this Panchagavya, I have this habit of doing it myself. Jyotsna taught me this. You have to do it by yourself, and I, felt that pleasure of not just soiling my hand, but it's also with cow dung and ghee. I get into the drum. I ask I tell my boys, please do not help me. I will do it myself. So I get into the drum, put my cow dung, ghee, mix it. While I mix it, I inhale the smell of fresh cow dung, and without my knowledge, I realized that I don't have any asthma or wheezing now. I can climb up 7, 8 floors by myself without any, breathing issues. And I'm totally fit. I'm totally fit, I would say. And then I realized, yes, so it is not that you choose a particular field. It is not that I chose, gardening, or I chose natural farming. It is that field that chose me. It is that cow that chose me. That's what I always believe in. And she said, yeah, I want, if you are there with me or if I'm there with you, I will cure you. That's what Gomata said, and she has come to me. And that is how I feel that, cows have to be an important part of every person's life. It has to be their daily, like how you have pet dogs at home, pet cats. A cow should also be a part of your pet.
Jyotsna ji, tell us more about the Pancharatna. Why is it called Pancharatna? And also about the course that you're offering, a 2-month course on landscaping, gardening, and farming consultancy that you run. Tell us a little more about it, please.
Okay. So Pancharatna is actually five gems for the green soul. And the five products that we have or manufacture are Panchagavya, number one, which is the king of fertilizers. So if you were to have Panchagavya and use Panchagavya for your farm, actually you're done, because it is a fertilizer and an insect repellent all in one go. So that's good enough. Then we have neem astra, which is an insecticidal. It increases the immunity of the plant. Okay, the core immunity of the plant. Then we have agni astra, which is it contains green chili, garlic, and ginger. And that is basically an insect repellent for sap sucking insects. Then we have brahmastra, which is a solution which is sprayed to a prophylactic as well as after the incidents happens. So for caterpillars, so large leaf eating caterpillars. And we have a fifth product, which is dasha parani. So dasha means 10 and parani means leaves. So 10 leaves, 10 weed leaves are collected, and this is fermented into a solution. this has fungicidal properties. So fungal attack on plants can be prevented with this liquid. So these are the five products, liquid products that we offer. We also make cow dung manure, which is dry cow dung along with a couple of other ingredients, which can be used in small quantities for potted plants and for urban gardens. This increases the flowering capacity of the plant itself. So these are the six products that we offer currently in Panchratna. And you were asking about the course that I offer, the 2-month online course. So this course is initially it was started for students who have finished their BTech horticulture or their BSc agriculture. But it can also be for people who have no background but just a passion for plants. Okay, my oldest student is 53 years old. She is from the insurance background. She is an LIC agent. She works as an LIC agent for a living, but her passion is plants. So she's taken up this course and she's learning the scientific names like Hari learned it. No, I'm not scolding her in the scientific names, but she's learning the scientific names and she's learning how each plant has to be taken care of. So this course is more of an introduction into the world of plants. It will give you the technical know-how. It will also give you how to manage plants and how to even set up a farm if you require. And actually the end intent of this course is to see if a person is capable of starting one's own business. So if you have the capacity to start your own business, or you have a passion for plants, or you have studied about plants, or you want to increase your knowledge about them, or anything in between, then this is a course for you. So this course actually we're charging about for students, people who are currently doing their studies. Obviously, pockets are low, so we're charging 3,500 for them. And for people who are working in the community, we are charging 7,000. It's a 2-month course. It's conducted online, and class timings are varied based on one's convenience. So my 53-year-old student takes her class at 3 to 4:30 every day. And my because she needs more classes, versus my students take the class at 8:30 to 10 o'clock alternate days, because they all go to work. So yeah.
So it's been an amazing interaction with both of you. And what I really like is that you guys are so grounded and rooted and also so transparent. I mean, I have seen companies, which who change a little bit of Panchgavya and they call it another product, who change a little bit of Dashapandi and call it another product. You have stuck to the traditional names and you're bringing out a good, authentic product into the market, which itself is an inspiration. I mean, personally, I always feel there is no competition.
Yes.
There is the market is so huge, the soil is so pathetic in its current condition, that as much as all of us can do, it is still not enough, probably. So nice to interact with both of you, and thank you so much for your time today. We wish Pancharatna and Joy Greens all the best. And I hope to see many, many youngsters taking up work like you, with you, and making the whole earth greener. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you.